President-elect Joe Biden has a plan to introduce a sweeping immigration reform, including a pathway for citizenship to more than 11 million undocumented immigrants. In this video, we're going to talk about the most recent updates that we have about that immigration reform, but most importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do now to start preparing for this reform. Remember, the last time we had an immigration reform was in 1986 under President Reagan. And people who benefited under that reform had to produce certain things before they could qualify. So in this video, we'll talk about everything you need to know about the upcoming immigration reform plans, as well as what you have to do to prepare now. Welcome to our immigration channel. This is a place where we get the most up-to-date information about immigration news, immigration updates, and what you have to know to make your immigration journey a stress-free process. My name is Jacob Sapochnik, and I'm an immigration attorney based in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states. If you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click this bell to be notified so you don't miss any of our videos. And also give us that big like so YouTube will be able to share this video with more people just like you. So let's dive into Biden's latest immigration reform updates. At a recent private meeting, President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris met with a group of immigration activists, and they outlined before them what is considered to be the most aggressive, comprehensive immigration reform plan since the 80s. So we had an actual reform and amnesty. At the center of this immigration reform plan, there's going to be an 8-year track plan for citizenship for all these immigrants who are going to be qualified for under the immigration reform. Again, we don't have exactly the clear details as to how it's going to work and who's going to qualify first, but the plan is to create some sort of a legalization process for all these undocumented immigrants that are currently inside the United States. Focus on certain groups. For example, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the DACA. Those that have DACA and currently hold DACA are going to will be eligible for a path for a green card and eventually citizenship. Also, people that have currently temporary protective status in the United States, there's a list of countries that are qualified. People that hold currently TPS are also going to qualify under the program to get their green cards and then eventually get their citizenship. Some of these ideas have already been presented by Vice President-elect Kamala Harris at a recent interview on Univision, where she specifically said that it is a smarter and more humane way for approaching immigration. Other details that we know from this particular meeting is that the work on the border wall is going to stop completely under Biden. All the travel bans, we have the proclamations, we have at least 3 of them currently. All the travel bans and the proclamations will be reversed immediately once Biden is in office. Biden is also going to make some sweeping changes to our asylum policy and completely end what is called a Remain in Mexico policy that Trump started and made it virtually impossible for people to apply for asylum and be able to get that benefit as they enter the US. We also know that Biden is going to work on opening the borders for more people to come to the United States by focusing more on adjudication and less on enforcement. And therefore, I anticipate that we'll see more movement in embassies and consulates worldwide. Families are being separated, and I think we're going to see the process start moving a little bit more smoother, and we'll see more and more of these cases start to be adjudicated, and both the USCIS and the State Department hopefully are going to start adjudicating those cases faster and preventing from families being separated as the situation is today. So once again, we don't have the exact details as to what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, but the fact that they're both talking about it so much, we know that something big is coming. So what can you do now to prepare for immigration reform? Number 1, pay your taxes. If you're here inside the United States, whether you're in legal status or not, you need to pay your taxes. This is the best proof of your physical presence inside the United States. And who knows, like in previous reforms and previous benefits, like we had Section 245I, you always have to prove that you've been in the United States from a certain year or a certain date. Paying taxes is probably the best proof you can show that you've been physically inside the United States. If you don't have a Social Security, you can apply for a taxpayer's ID number and pay your taxes this way. Number 2, make sure you have some sort of valid form of ID, whether it's a state local driving license, if it's possible in your state, if it's a passport from your own country. We have so many clients and people that are sending me messages that are here undocumented, they're here from another country, but their ID is already expired or they never had an ID, make sure you contact your consulate or embassy inside the United States and try to apply for a valid ID, because you're going to need one if and when reform passes. You're going to need a valid ID to be able to file your case, to be able to enter the United States government offices and finish your application accordingly. So make sure you obtain a valid ID. Number 3, start collecting documents to show that you've been present in the United States in the past several years. We don't know how many years back you're going to have to show, but let's assume 10 years. Just like with DACA, when you apply for deferred action for child arrival, you have to prove that you've been here since 2007. I'm sure they're going to set a certain date for an immigration reform to prove that you've been present in the United States. This can be bills, doctor appointments, employment records, any purchases you've made in stores, if you lived any location, a lease, payment for rent, a bank account, activity in the bank, anything like that that prove that you lived in the United States in the past several years. I would go back as far as 10 years. Again, we don't know what's going to be the actual time frame, but let's plan on that. Make sure you start collecting these documents now, because once reform passes, it's going to be more difficult, you're going to be stressed out. So I can guarantee you that no matter what passes, you're going to have to prove that you've been present in the United States from the cutoff date that they're going to set. And the reason they do that is because they want to avoid the floodgate of people coming in the United States stating that they've been here all these years. So start collecting your documents now. Number 4, pay your fines and your debts. For example, if you have tickets, unpaid tickets, if you're involved in litigation, if you have any debts that you have to pay, make sure you work on this now, because we don't know what the requirements are going to be and what's going to disqualify people. So for example, if you have a speeding ticket and you didn't pay that ticket, that becomes a warrant. And now you have all these open things in your records and you didn't think about it because you're like, well, I'm undocumented, I don't care. Make sure you look at all liabilities, everything you have to do, whether it's with the state, whether it's with IRS. Make sure you tie those loose ends. You don't want to have any issues, because guess what? If reform passes and one of the requirements is that you don't have any issues with the law, if you didn't pay your debts, you may be in trouble. So make sure you pay all your fines, all your liabilities. Work on it right now, make a payment plan, whatever you have to do, but do it, because you could be disqualified if you have any of these kind of loose ends before a reform passes. Number 5, obtain your records from immigration. If you've been in the United States for many years and you had some interaction with immigration, maybe they fingerprinted you before, maybe they stalked you, even if it's something insignificant, order your records by using a process called FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. It's free, you can file it, you get the records, whether it's with USCIS or with the CBP or with the State Department. If you have any issues coming into the United States, make sure you order your records to the US government, especially if you've been removed and you re-entered back. You want to have clear records of what they know about you. A FOIA is a simple thing to do. You file it, it takes several months. Make sure you do it now before a reform passes, because it's going to take a while to get those records. So we hope and we pray that this big reform is going to come soon, and I know it's coming. So hopefully this video was beneficial. If you know somebody that can benefit, make sure you share this video with somebody that cares. And also, if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click that bell to be notified so you don't miss any of our videos. And also, if you want a consultation with me, if you want to know about your options, make sure you text me on this number, and I'm looking forward to having a consultation just with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video. So if you like this video, watch these 2 videos for more information just like that.